2 more Biden administration officials have resigned in protest of Biden's position on Gaza. Particularly, this is, I think, notable because they are specifically accusing the administration of, and this is from The Guardian, not telling the truth about Israeli obstruction of humanitarian assistance to more than 2 million Palestinians trapped and starving in the tiny coastal strip. Alexander Smith, a contractor for the U.S. Agency for International Development, USAID, said he was given a choice between resignation and dismissal after preparing a presentation on maternal and child mortality among Palestinians, which was canceled at the last minute by USAID leadership last week. And just sit with that for a second. He was preparing a report on infant and maternal or child and maternal mortality among Palestinians, and his report caused his higher-ups to say, well, you can either quit or we'll fire you.
Madness.
His quote is, "I cannot do my job in an environment in which specific people cannot be acknowledged as fully human, or where gender and human rights principles apply to some but not to others, depending on their race," he wrote. In another resignation on Tuesday, a State Department official from the Bureau of Population, Refugees, and Migration, Stacey Gilbert, sent an email to colleagues explaining that she was leaving because of an official finding by the department that Israel was not deliberately obstructing the flow of food or other aid into Gaza. She was upset about the report to Congress earlier in May that we talked about, that basically danced around the issue and pretended that there was some ambiguity about whether or not Israel had violated the Leahy Law in that instance. They didn't want to have to trigger the Leahy Law, which says that if a country is blocking humanitarian assistance, they should be cut off from aid at that point. So the administration's report that they gave to Congress just didn't address that fact because they knew what the finding would mean for them legally, and that's part of why she chose to resign. Smith and Gilbert bring the total number of Biden administration officials to have publicly resigned over U.S. policy on Gaza to 9. Though Josh Paul, the first official to resign, said at least 24 more have left quietly without a public declaration. And more and more of this is going to happen if the administration determines Israel did not violate its red line. They're still figuring that out. I guess that investigation is lost with the World Central Kitchen aid worker attacks, the killing of 6-year-old girl Hind Rajab, and more. They're all just, it's a backlog.
You think about like why we don't want Trump to be the next president, and it's in part because of the effect it has on sort of the bureaucratic personnel, and we're already pruning the bureaucracy of anybody who has a conscience during the genocide. So basically doing their work for him. So that's why you hear all people talk about fascism as like a campaign issue. No, it's a bipartisan problem right now that we all have to really confront because it's happening right now. There's collaboration happening right now.
I am in favor of people resigning in protest to be public like this because it gives people, it puts more pressure on folks.
Absolutely.
But that is the consequence of having an inhumane policy like this, is that, this administration could have had all of these good-hearted people, Anel Sheehan, Josh Paul, whoever, right, who are trying to do good work.
Yeah. I just have brainless and, bloody-handed people left.
But there are still people that they need a job. I get it. It's really hard to be without a job in this country, and they're trying to maybe rationalize and do work from the inside. But if this many people are resigning in protest, just think about how many people internally are disgusted.
Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.